Hello, America, and welcome to Bill Has Opinions, your can't miss Bill shit for the week. I am Laura Lavoie, and I'm here with Bill Perkins, who has opinions.
What up?
Hi.
Yeah.
Welcome. We're back. Thanks, viewer, for tuning in.
Yeah. Hey there.
Hey, welcome. So here's what I've got. Well, I don't really have anything to open the show. We have so many headlines.
Oh my god!
Actually, just 2 headlines. They're just beefy.
We're never gonna we
could
do an hour show on just that.
We could.
We're not doing that anymore.
But in the meantime, how are you doing? What has been up since last week?
Oh, just what's been up? I don't know, nothing much.
Yeah, last week was fairly quiet.
Out, yeah.
Yeah.
We've been working on, I don't know if I mentioned on the show, you probably know that we bought a 3D printer.
I am aware, yes.
We're making a droid.
Nice.
And that's going expectedly. There's a lot of, ups and downs in 3D printing, apparently. Like you will get a decent print and then you will get a shit print. So you get as much, every other piece you print. Maybe not every other piece. Every third piece is trash, and you have to start over, and it can be frustrating. Although I think it's worse. We bought a fairly plug and play, easy for the beginner 3D printer. I understand the people who've bought cheaper and more, what am I trying to say? More advanced 3D printers. There's a lot more waste, and there's a lot more dialing it in. There's a lot of tweaking and meddling. It's like the analog synthesizer of maker toys, kind of.
Right.
So it's Anyway, it's a little problematic and frustrating, but at the same time, it could be worse. It's mostly because we're trying to print in a harder plastic. So most people. The plastic most people print in is PLA, which is a corn-based plastic, and it's got a low temperature melt, right? The reason we're not using that for R2D2 is because we live in the South, and PLA has a tendency to warp under extreme heat. By that I mean 110 degrees.
Right.
So we're thinking about the idea of if you have this droid and it's in the back of the truck, and maybe you have to park it. Maybe it's going to be an hour before you can unload the truck, getting it into a convention or something.
Sure.
You don't want to go out there and be like, "Oh, my droid melted."
Although that'd be a funny clip.
Would it? It
would be a disappointing clip for you.
Yes. So we've already planned. Thankfully, we went to it was one of the panels we went to at Dragon Con was how to build a droid. And this is one of the things they talked about was, in certain places you can use PLA, but you got to understand you can't leave it in the car at all, and it's also, PLA is also a little photo sensitive.
So it'll fade faster?
Or become brittle under sunlight.
Sure.
It's photodegradable is what it is.
Yeah.
It's when they make the cups at things and they say, "Oh, these are environmental." Most of the time it's PLA. PLA it will eventually break down in a what they call a corporate compost situation. Probably not in your home composter, but one of those the big field where they rake it around a lot.
Right.
It will break down. So ergo, it's not the best plastic to make your. Here's the thing: it's the easiest plastic to print with. When we print, we're not printing things in PLA. It's not our droid. That we're making dinky little bullshit, to fuck around with, and that stuff is all coming out just fine. It's just the ABS, which is the harder plastic that we're printing the droid in, is a little tricky and problematic, but it doesn't make us want to go, "Oh, well, we're just going to print it in some lousy plastic that's going to melt later,"
Sure. But hey, that sounds like a lot of fun. And I remember you guys saying you were going to do one. And I think Emily said at Dragon Con, she's like, I might be able to have it done by 2026. But at the rate you're going, you might have it done by 2025.
I don't want to put that on us yet. I mean, ideally the sooner the better. Yes, because I mean it's hard to have a long term project. This is like having one of those like a project car,
Right?
You know, you got like this old Chevelle in the back, and you're like, yeah, I'll finish that thing in like 8 years or whatever. You know.
Well, when you get it done, we should definitely the group costume, because you know we all like to do group costumes.
Sure,
should definitely be a Star Wars.
Yeah,
something
for sure.
I mean, a Star Wars.
A Star Wars. Yeah, here's $5. Go see a Star Wars.
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Emily's already working on a thing because she's going to have this droid. She's now concerned about like, what am I going to, you know, where to go with this droid? You know, so I'm going to be Princess Leia or General Leia or whatever. You know,
right.
So she's looking into that, I guess. And then she's like, "What would you do?" And I'm like, "Well, honestly, I feel more like Obi-Wan Kenobi than Luke, you know, at this point in my life." You know what I'm saying?
Sure, absolutely. But you've kind of done.
I've done Obi-Wan.
You've done Obi-Wan before.
I did the middle-aged Obi-Wan, not the old. But but as I get older, I'm just gonna look more like the old Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Well, and if
more like the middle-aged Obi-Wan Kenobi, who's aging at the same rate as me.
Exactly, just aging slower than Obi-Wan Kenobi actually aged in the movies, because he went in 17 years of movie time. He went from Ewan McGregor
to
Alec
Guinness. Although Alec Guinness wasn't terribly old.
He wasn't young.
No, but he was. You know what? I think it's just it's living on a desert planet with 2 suns. It just probably
it ages you.
It ages you, man.
It ages you. All right. Well, so let's dive into Bill shit. We've got something small to talk about.
Okay.
Oh. So we don't always talk about the beer on our show anymore because we drank it all. We've tried everything.
We've had it all.
We have. But last week you had brought this Oktoberfest, and we talked about its can art, which is very traditionally Oktoberfest.
Yeah, it's got
right?
the Bavarian flag, which most of them have some variants on that. They use these colors. They use this bright blue.
Is blue. But then I had this can of Founders Oktoberfest, which has no blue whatsoever.
Right.
And we're like, wow, are people not doing blue anymore? So then you brought this today.
I did.
Which is just sort of generally fall. In fact, I'm going to turn it around here.
In fact, it has no German, aside from the font.
Yeah, the font and the spelling of
October. Yeah, it has no... almost the same font as the Boojum.
It does, yeah, very similar.
But it has, aside from that font, it has really no leanings towards a German beer.
Right, but it's just they're like our Marzen is for fall, which is funny because Marzen literally means March, but you know whatever, we'll take it. I mean, there's a long brewing history about that. But then you have over there, if you want to stick it up by the camera. Yet another. We'll take these down. Put that back up.
Okay.
So here's another Oktoberfest that
has. Well, this one I would say it has nothing to do, but the picture, while not in those colors, it's a fellow who's wearing a
conceivably German man.
Yeah, popping a keg here.
Right.
Probably for the feast of whatever the hell Oktoberfest is about. Somebody was getting married.
The wedding of Prince Ludwig the something.
Yeah, there you go. This could even be the prince. I mean, he's wearing like what looks like a crown.
Is he? Yeah, he is wearing like a crown. Yeah, you're actually right. I think that might be a representation of Prince Ludwig.
But it's in fall colors.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's and
yeah, it's mostly fall. Less Bavarian, more fall.
Right.
Which I think in the US, right, Oktoberfest have sort of become just one of the default fall beers. Like you get Oktoberfest and you get pumpkin. In the fall. You might, there are some other, like we were talking before the show, we both like to drink like red ales and alt beers and things like that this time of year, just because it feels fallier, I guess. Like there's no real science behind that. It just, they look fallier.
Yeah.
Right?
It's the same reason I mostly like to drink stouts in the wintertime.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know. They make me feel warm or like, you know, like this is going to like, and they don't, you know what it is they're not refreshing. So you don't want to drink them when it's hot out.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Like, that's when you're like, oh, I'll have a Corona or something because I'm like, because it's more quenching or what.
Yeah, all of the beers that I drink from fall to the end of the year, fall until maybe February-ish, if you follow the Wiccan season cycle, from fall until Imbolc.
Wait, from Lunasa till
Well, not even Lunasa. From the autumn equinox, which is often called Mabon or Mabon, and there's arguments about that among the pagan community. So I just call it I just call it the fall equinox because I'm not Celtic in my practice. So
Got you. Fair.
But yes, so fall equinox to Imbolc, which I am also not Celtic in my practice, but I do use the Celtic word for that because there is no other word except Groundhog Day. For that. Like that wasn't a holiday for the Greeks. Anyway,
gotcha.
We've devolved. This conversation has devolved. So let's take a moment to do our station break.
Okay.
And normally, and I will briefly, while I'd say that normally we put this up.
We normally shill for ourselves.
Yeah, normally we shill for ourselves now. We stop, not that we don't love our friends, but since we have 2 viewers, you've all seen it already. So scan this, buy us a camera, buy some merch so we can buy a camera.
That's what we mean.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you could buy us a camera.
You could really send us a camera and skip the middleman.
You could only do
that. But you get no merch out of it.
You do. And we want you to have merch. But I wanted to point out, which we're very excited about, a good friend of us, not necessarily the show, because I don't think he's literally ever watched it. Not his fault because we are what we are.
Yeah.
But but we're very proud of him, an artist friend of ours who owns Geek Orthodox, which is a stained glass company, basically. He is launching a Kickstarter tomorrow for his officially licensed Lord of the Ring artwork. So it'll be stained glass artwork and window clings. So yeah, definitely check out Kickstarter starting tomorrow. Follow Geek Orthodox for more updates. You definitely want to check this one out, kid. Person watching. Like you can't, right? I have in this room, because this room is Lord of the Rings themed, you can barely see it because it's tiny right there.
Oh.
But
and because the sun's gone down.
Yeah, I've got some of his original kind of prototypes for these. So I'm excited to get some of the officially licensed merch.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that's what you should do. Follow Geek Orthodox and do the Kickstarter tomorrow.
Yeah.
I plan to do that. All right, let's get into headlines. There's a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So earlier today, I was originally going to talk about one thing, but then I also was reading a lot about this other thing. And I'm like, can we do them both? And you said, well, they're tangentially related.
They kind of are. I mean, yes.
They're not directly related. But the scandal is similar.
The scandal is, that's exactly what I meant, I guess, was it's like they're similar sort of, oh boy, you know.
Oh boy.
Well, yes.
Which person would you like to start with?
Oh. Let's start with the guy who has no bearing on anything really. You know, like who doesn't affect my life.
Oh, sure. So that would, yeah, I'm assuming you mean at that point, Sean P. Diddy Combs.
That's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, all right. Because I mean, if he has an effect on your life,
he has no effect on my life.
Thank God.
The only person's life he has any effect on is that he made Kesha have to change a lyric to one of her songs, apparently.
Well, yeah. Well, except he also had impact on a whole bunch of lives.
Oh, sure. Yeah. For instance, the fellow who won a lawsuit against him a week or two ago, who apparently he had been keeping as a sex slave or something.
Yeah. So there's been sexual assault charges of both men and women, and that person in particular, so that guy is an inmate in a Michigan prison. So obviously he did some stuff, but his charges against formerly Puff Daddy, because we're cool like that. We know all his names. What
was he before Puff Daddy?
I think Puff Daddy was the first one.
That was
Puff
the first
Daddy,
one?
and then P Diddy, and then just Diddy.
And then Diddy. Okay,
but Sean Combs is
all right. Well, he doesn't have as many names as Old Dirty Bastard.
That's true. But so this guy, he did accuse Sean Combs of sexual assault, and in the state of Michigan, Sean Combs did not show up for his own trial. So the guy was given a default judgment.
Okay.
Which was, well, he didn't show up, so you win. Which, whatever actually happened legally kind of doesn't matter anymore. But
clearly after all the other stuff shook out, you kind of are like, okay, yeah, he did some stuff.
Yeah, no, when you have this many people coming out of the woodwork with it's not a ton of people just
when the DOJ raids all of your residences at once. Listen, the DOJ doesn't do this shit on a hunch,
right?
They've already got evidence when they do this.
Exactly.
Like they don't because they don't want to fucking you're not going to turn around and sue them for overreach.
Exactly.
So, and this is the thing that happens in a lot of these, whenever somebody, you see anything like this where the DOJ raids somebody's, they're reasonably guilty, probably, because the DOJ just doesn't operate that way. They don't do this unless they are going to win the case.
Correct. Yes. And so there have been multiple accusations of sexual assault of both men and women. Not even just one dude and a bunch of women, a bunch of dudes and a bunch of women.
Yeah.
A whole array.
Yeah.
Of sexual crimes. There was his ex-girlfriend, who is one of the people that is suing, is brought charges against him.
Okay.
Not suing, but brought charges. He said he never did anything wrong. And then there is footage from a hotel of his physical abuse of her, available. And so he's like, oh, I take responsibility for that. I'm really sorry.
Okay. So he thinks he's as cooked as that John Major guy.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's more cooked than that, really.
Some of the allegations go as far back as the 1990s.
Well, so this is an interesting thing I've read recently is that apparently, Sean Combs' father was actually a mob enforcer. And that's where he actually got his startup money.
Interesting.
And probably his work ethic.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Oh, I mean, it made me think of when we did Things That Are Extra a couple weeks ago, those 50s pulp magazines, right? And I was like, and you're like, oh, it's mockable. And I'm like, no, it's a problem. This is why it's a problem, right? This guy, Armie Hammer, all these people were raised to believe that they could victimize women.
Right.
And in some cases, other men. and get away with it.
Anybody who's not in a position of power, seriously, it's basically about the abuse of power. I've got some, you don't.
Absolutely.
Ergo, I get what I want.
So among the charges that the DOJ has brought against him, not just the accusers, trafficking, rape, and racketeering. And once you throw racketeering onto that,
oh boy.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the dude that was the NXIVM cult leader ended up being convicted of. So that's not.
Wait, is this the one with the girl from TV? What was she?
Yeah, from Smallville.
Smallville, yeah.
So he ended up getting accused of he ended up getting convicted of trafficking, sexual assault, and racketeering. And once the DOJ throws racketeering onto it, most of us don't even know what the fuck that means.
They got something to do with tennis, right?
Yeah, but they know, and obviously you don't just throw that one around.
No, you hit it with the.
Do you hit the shuttlecock with it?
Yes.
So a lot of people ask, obviously, why are survivors coming out now? Why are these? Is it just a money grab?
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Why
were
did
they
wait?
Quiet? Why not say something a long time? We've always said this shit.
Yes.
It's ridiculous.
Because he's P. Diddy.
Yeah.
And if you come up against a guy like that, he's got enough money to pay for all the lawyers.
Well, not just he's got enough money, but like I said, his dad was a mob person.
Enough influence.
He was a scary dude, and it was probably a scary thing to come up against him. He could have make or break your ass. Right, back in the day.
A lot of the women that accuse him were women that it was definitely a power thing because they were women that were trying to start careers.
Right. That's how they got in the position to get abused by him in the first place was because they were trying to get from zero to a career in the music industry, and he held the keys. And then at some point the shit got sideways, and they're like, "Fuck, this is not good."
Right.
But what are you gonna do? It's fucking P Diddy, and I'm nobody, and yeah.
Well, and one of the reasons these charges have come up now, as opposed to ever before, is that in 2022 or 23, something like that, the New York Adult Survivors Act, which was it was an act that allowed victims to bring charges even after what would be considered the statute of limitations.
Yeah, this is one of the big things that happened with the Catholic Church too, right? Yeah. It was because a lot of that stuff people had kind of aged out of being able to complain about it. Yeah.
Right. Also, by
you just have to live with your trauma, have fun.
Yeah. U.S. legal system. Here's something I would love to see an administration do at some point. There should never be a statute of limitations on sexual abuse or child abuse in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, you should be up there with murder. It's forever.
The fact that 7 years after you were abused, you're like, well, you're shit out of luck now.
Vandalism. That should have a statute of limitations.
Sure.
Like if you get away with it for 7 years, and then you could come out and you could go, hey, I spray painted the fucking church. Ha ha ha. Okay, that's fine.
Right.
I'm okay with that because by then they've recovered from it or the church has gone out of business. And either way, whatever.
Well, and a lot of this reminds me of another celebrity that has been accused of many similar things, but has so far not faced a whole lot of real legal backlash, is Marilyn Manson.
Yeah.
And Marilyn Manson, like Diddy, has a lot of fans that are rabid and are trying to,
Does he still?
Marilyn Manson does. Huh? That's why he's not been. Yeah, there's been.
Okay, because I don't know. So because this is the thing. So he was sort of like, he's not, but okay. So he kind of skirts around the sort of the goth image.
Sure. Yeah.
The goths don't claim him, but I will say the Venn diagram of people who are goth and people who have listened to Marilyn Manson is probably halfway at least.
Sure.
But I will say, I guess that's why I was asking, is because I don't know anybody who still claims him.
I'm grateful for that, but he is also not.
For the most part, I mean, I had a Marilyn Manson album back in the day. I mean, I guess I still have it. It's in that fucking folder with all my 2000 CDs, but you know what I mean? Like
right.
I had a copy of Dope Show. Was it Dope Show? Yeah, I think so. What was whatever the one where he looks like a scary alien on the front.
I mean, when does he not look like a scary alien?
I mean, he's always pretty scary looking. Like although to be fair, he looks worse. He's like one of those people. You ever see you remember the girl who played what was the character on Star Trek on Voyager? The girl who was the half Klingon.
Yeah, from shit. Oh, I mean, I know her actual name was her last name was Dawson, the actor, but I cannot remember.
Something like Balan. Okay. Anyway, I saw pictures after probably 2 years after seeing her on the show. I saw a picture of her for reals, and I was like, oh, she's actually more attractive as a Klingon. And Marilyn Manson's one of those people where he's actually more attractive. Okay, she probably is. It's just I had already developed an affinity for her as a Klingon lady. Is what it was. It's on me.
Right. So,
but Marilyn Manson, let's be honest, that guy he looks better when he's in character than when he's out of character. Like he just looks like he's like a creep when he's out of character, right?
That's how that whole the guy from the Wonder Years. That's how the whole and like the victim of that is the guy from the Wonder Years.
Fucking guy from the Wonder Years can't go anywhere.
Right. Like, dude, you are not that.
He's like, oh my God. But everybody thinks I'm Marilyn Manson.
Exactly.
Like, oh shit.
But we are actually running out of time. We have an entire maybe that'll be I don't know. We have an entire other thing that we haven't talked about.
Oh gosh, yeah.
But so among the charges, child sexual assault, there's an accuser who was 17 at the time. So that's a problem.
Yeah.
But the one I really did you read about the freak off?
I did not.
Oh God.
This is the first time hearing about it right here.
Right now.
When I came in and I saw this thing, Bill does not have freak offs, and I was like, well, I mean I didn't know because I don't know what a freak off is.
I promise you do not.
Okay. It's not like Freak Nick though, right?
No. among the things that the DOJ seized from his residences, were like thousands of baby oil.
Oh, I did hear about the baby oil, but I didn't realize that was related to freak off.
So apparently he held there was also footage.
He was a single person holding up the Johnson & Johnson company.
Yeah. He held these freak offs, which are basically like torture orgies. And they have video footage of a number of them, including other celebrities. So kind of like
But non-consensual torture orgies?
Correct.
Is that what you're getting at?
Yes, like where they would hire sex workers and then torture them.
Okay.
Which
and no safe words. We're not hearing it. Like, we do what we want.
So it's insanity. You did. Please go read up on it.
I will read up
fascinating.
Because I am fascinated.
It's fascinating
know what a freak off is, but it sounds freaky.
So we are running out of time. I don't know that we can talk about the other subject.
Well, let's just do it in the
we're going to do things that are extra of the other subjects. So
which is related to this. So
correct. So
if you care about this kind of thing, we're going to talk more about it in our other show that will show up later in the week.
Yes. So we are going to do that. So yeah, let's just quit while the quitting's good and this live stream, and then we'll move over to record something about the other dude, and it's just as bad.
It's just as freaky.
It's just as bad.
When I saw the word freak off, I thought you were talking about the other guy.
Well, honestly, you could.
Because I have some things to say about that. So just be sure to tune in my other thing.
Yes, we will schedule it maybe like Thursday-ish, and it'll go live on all our channels. Even though it won't be live, it'll just air live. So anyway, why don't you take us away?
Sure. Bill Has Opinions is engineered and produced by Laura Lavoie. The opinions of Bill are his and his alone. We both don't like Marilyn Manson.
Nah, do not.
Fuck that guy.
or
P. Diddy. I never really liked P. Diddy, to be fair. I didn't like what he did to the song Kashmir by Led Zeppelin in the Godzilla soundtrack. It was basically just him grunting over the song Kashmir is what it was. It was like din-din-din, 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 hell yeah, and I was like, this is terrible. And I wonder what Sting has to say about him, honestly.
I actually have that question too, because I was thinking about that because of the Every Breath You Take version that they did, which turned Every Breath You Take, which is literally a song about a stalker, which brings that to a whole new level.
Full circle.
Yeah. But there was a tribute to
Biggie.
Yeah. So in that, I actually
thank God Biggie died when he did, because he'd be embroiled in all this fuck nonsense now.
Yeah.
I mean, jeez. God knows what that guy was into,
but
he's dead now, so we can't worry about it. Anywho, what I'm trying to say is be sure to like and subscribe.
Because clearly we talk about the important topics of our generation.
Be sure to follow us on Facebook. Be sure to hashtag Opinion Gang and/or Can't Miss Bill Shit, and suggestions for future shows or questions, comments, concerns, etc., etc., etc. Anyways, and we'll see you later this week when you tune into the next half of this conversation, which will be on our things that are extra show. Anyhow, we'll see you next week or later this week.
We will see you all those times.
All the time.
Thanks, viewer. See you soon.